ultimately, our job is to provide client advertisers, so companies that spend dollars, rand, euros on advertising, help them and provide them with an independent and objective view of how that money is being spent. And there's a statistic that we always quote, and it's one of those statistics that it's impossible to argue against because you'd never be able to work it out. But we always talk about your media money, so the money you actually spend on media, accounting for something like 80% of your total communications budget, but only about 20% of your time. So the point being that whilst people are spending vast sums of money on their media as a percentage of their overall budget, in fact, quite often, at least it used to be the case, and I think often it still is, less time is actually spent on focusing on that spend. More time is spent on stuff like the creative executions and so on and so forth, which might be considered a bit more fun. So our job is to provide an independent point of view on that media spend. So from that perspective, it's worth noting that any audit company worth its salt will be entirely independent, not necessarily wholly owned by working directors. Some are listed. The largest in the market is a listed company. It's listed on the alternative investment market in the UK, but entirely independent of any other outside organisation, therefore able to provide independent and objective viewpoints. It's also important to note that we're focusing very much on media, so the money you spend on television, radio, print, outdoor, and most importantly in many markets nowadays, digital as well. And it's also really important to note that we work very closely with media agencies, so just like Kevin's agency, media brands, the likes of Group M and Mindshare and Mediacom and so on. Whilst we work closely with agencies, we are entirely separate from those agencies. And whilst we obviously have a duty of care towards agencies to ensure that we treat them correctly, our entire focus is on our clients' monies and helping clients optimize those budgets. I mean, I think if you want a couple of reasons why people like us exist, I suppose one is that people do want an independent and objective view. Another is, at a very simple level, it's arguable that no one should be marking their own homework. So, agencies post campaign reports, they do a perfectly good job of those post campaign reports, but agencies are always focused on the future, and quite rightly as well. They're your planners. They're buying your campaigns, but then once those campaigns are completed, then they're on to the next thing, and that's what they should be doing. Ours is a different discipline. We're more sort of measured. We'll take the results of those campaigns, sift through them. To some extent, it is just a different discipline. And there's also some sort of harder-nosed elements to it. As everyone knows, auditors pool client rates. And so one of our jobs, and this depends on different markets and media and so on, but one of our jobs is to provide clients with an independent view of whether we think their pricing is competitive. So that's that sort of really basic human desire to know that you're not being ripped off. We can offer an independent view on the sort of pricing that you're paying. Now, there's a big caveat attached to that, or a number of caveats, one of which is that doesn't work as it used to in the digital world, and we can discuss all that later on. But those are the sort of the basic tenets of what we do. If I had to use, rather than the word media auditor, which I don't like very much, if I had to use one phrase to describe us, it would be trusted advisor. So I'd like to think that the clients with whom I've developed long-term relationships, and often we do work for clients for many, many years, will just see us as that trusted advisor. So, we may well conduct audits for them, we may well conduct different projects, but ultimately we're always there at the end of the phone. If they've got a question about anything, they can call us up and they'll know that we'll give them what we think is the best advice as far as they're concerned. And there won't be any reason for us to give them anything other than the best advice, as far as their interests are concerned.